this is a real boom coming up. And I would like to bring your attention to my friend, Carlo DiLorenzo, who is the field control sec with Ideal Org, Kansas City. And he's had a long history. He can tell you about it, but I'll throw in that he was the first power FSM on the planet, bringing in new people. And so this is a guy that's going to actually bring you reality. He's been there. He's been in the trenches. He's done it. And I couldn't tell you how much respect I have for Carlo. So with that said, thank you for listening to my introduction to the total participation game. And Carlo DiLorenzo, please.
Thank you, Johnny.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for that invitation and explanation. I appreciate that immensely. Okay, well, let me give you a short, quick rundown of what I'd like to do tonight very quickly with you, because John shared a lot of information with me about his plan, and I loved it. He actually brought up a quote which I had not seen before, and it fascinated me. I am actually going to show that on the screen here in a second for you, all right? But I just want to let you know, when John mentioned that I have been in the trenches, it's quite true, because I'm an engineer, and I left the career of engineering to become a full-time FSM because I wanted to help LRH actually expand Scientology, because I need, people need to know that there's a better way to live life. So yes, I became the first power FSM to make 100 new people in a year. What isn't very well broadly known is that prior to the power FSM game, there was a completely different game called the FSM World Champion FSM, which is announced at the LRH birthday game many years ago. And in March 1990, I was on the stage getting that trophy for the World Champion FSM, and I had gotten, on average, I was averaging over 300 new public a year. So therefore, interestingly enough, when the Power FSM game came out, I was kind of like, oh my goodness, I'm not too sure how to deal with this because I'm not going to lower my production. So what happened is a partner and I at the time, we proposed to the terminals at that time saying, listen, we want a different game. So we proposed 10xing the stats, and that's how the Elite FSM game was created. And I also achieved that status as well. Okay, so I've been there. I know what it's like. I made my living as a full-time FSM, getting raw public in. So I wanted to share something of my successful actions with John, because his game is fantastic, because it really aligns everything and it puts it back to what an LRH wants to do. I'm going to share my screen right now. His quote that, an LRH quote, which John showed me, which I think is key to everything that he's trying to achieve, and I want to help with as well. Here it is. There you go. It's from the LRH 8340 Int Mission birthday game, all right? And what I'm trying to say here is fascinating. It says, start a campaign to get every Scientologist in your area to select and bring at least one new person per month into the mission, and then make sure that the person is well handled by Div 6 so he continues up the bridge. When I saw this issue, I said, holy smokes, in all my years as a Scientologist, as an FSM, I've never seen anything where LRH somewhat, in some way, shape, or form, kind of like assigned a quota to an FSM. And this fits the bill. Now, I am certain for you, to bring in one new person a month into an org or mission is beyond the impossible. I have reality on that, all right? So I set aside some time to figure out how could we make this to be a real thing for every single Scientologist. Sit back and figure out how could it become something real to do that in a 30-day period, considering everything that's going on, and also considering what we have happening right now on the planet. And basically, I'm going to go over with you, let's just call it a bright idea, okay? The crux of the bright idea is following up with what this particular quote says, because whereas you're expected to bring in a new person a month, LRH is also saying you're expected to make sure that that person is well handled by the Div 6 so he continues up the bridge. Yet there's another reference which reinforces that and puts in the teamwork aspect. Check this one out. If new public are taught also how to be a field staff member, and the dissemination formula and its drills are taught, you will have enrollments galore just for that. That's from FSM series number 2 field staff member, IC hat, field staff members. So let's see how this really works. Your job as an FSM is to bring in one new person over a 30-day period. Don't worry, we already know it's impossible, okay? And we, the staff and the FSMs, share a task of making sure that the person is winning on his services. And the staff then have the job of then training him to operate as an FSM to also bring in new people. So there is real teamwork happening here. You as an FSM first get one new person in over a 30-day period. Then together, you and the staff make sure he's winning on his services. Then the staff train him to be an FSM, and you just go back to bringing in another new person over the next 30 days. See how it works? Well, would you like to see the effects that will be created if you do your part and we do our part as a big team? I put together a graph because I looked around in the Kansas City field and I said, okay, how many people do we have that actually, if we could help them, could bring in one new person over a 30-day period? And I made this chart. In 1 month, I found there are at least 50 Scientologists who could bring in a new person. So that means the first month we would have 50 new people. Well, those 50 new people, the staff would take those guys and turn them into FSMs, while the original 50 would continue bringing in a new person for the next month. That means the next month we'd have 100 new people. We would repeat that phenomena, and the next month we would have 200 new people, 400 new people, and so forth. Funnily enough, I decided to see what would happen if we did this over a 12-month period with nobody falling off. Can you have, I don't know if you can imagine this, but 102,000 new people coming into your org and mission? Whoa. Well, hey, I don't know about you, but I have high having this on Raw Public, and there's definitely more than 102,000 Raw Public around your mission that need our help. So just think big. Okay. The next point, though, is to make this more of a reality point. I want to concentrate on the actual actions that you have to do to get this whole thing started. And I'm only going to go over a couple of quick tips. I'm not going to show them to you. I'm just going to voice them, because actually John just gave one of them to you, which is the most important one, which is the use of word of mouth. That's fundamental, okay? Word of mouth is very, very powerful. LRH says it, it's better than any other advertising, okay? But here's another tool that could help you as well. Personal contact. This, by far, is the very best method of dissemination. It is better done on an individual basis rather than talking to groups, since there's the factor in groups of being able to escape by saying, they aren't talking to me. Personal contact means just that, no matter whether it is done with friends and then to other people, or secondarily to total strangers. There's nothing better than personal contact. That's from the bulletin called Dissemination Tips. The point here is LRH says, talk to a live person. Do it directly. He can even suggest, talk to a total stranger. You can do it. Can you believe it? My goodness. All righty. So then there you have those two very successful tools, word of mouth and personal contact. Okay, I want to give you another tool, because you're going to be working with specifically new public. And in case you didn't catch it from John and the reference I showed you, LRH is clearly mentioning in two separate references that he wants you to bring in new public. I know a lot of FSMs have deviated and gone into other stuff like saying, I'm only doing recoveries. I actually asked a person the other day, where did that come from? And he actually was up front. He said, what happened is I was doing new public all the time, and I changed something, and I wasn't successful anymore with new public. So I just gave up and I decided to go on to recoveries. Little did he know that recoveries are a completely different technology from FSMing and require a lot of work, and they're not even what LRH is expecting you to do as an FSM. That's why LRH put in the chaplain on the org board. That's the post he put on the org board to get recoveries happening. That doesn't mean you can't do them. It doesn't mean you can't help. But LRH set up the whole FSM system for one purpose, to get new people in. Anyway, so here's another reference that could help you when looking for the correct people to disseminate to. This is from the policy letter called Book Income. Scientology planning is built to make the able more able. leaving the unable strictly alone for a while. Now, that is an interesting little reference. You may realize that perhaps one of the reasons you ran into problems in your dissemination activities is because you were disseminating possibly to somebody who was not able. Well, got it. Acknowledge. Now you can put this to use. If you consider the person is not able, don't bother disseminating to him. Put him aside. LRH is telling you, leaving the unable strictly alone for the while. Good. Okay, that's another piece of information. Now I want to get into what are some gradient steps of what you could do to actually get a person in over a 30-day period. Realize it's an impossible task. So all I have done here is I've applied technology I've learned from my study of the basics books and lectures during the quarantine period. Just so you know, me personally, I am now going through the basics books and lectures a third time through, all right? And I picked up where I left off from milestone 1 and I raced through and I'm on the PDCs right now again for the third time. And I picked up a piece of information which blew my mind, and it explains so much to me, which has to do with gradient scales, the gradient steps of agreements which allow you to make things happen. So I said, okay, nobody does a person a month, all right? Nobody does, I don't know, whatever. It's like difficult. But what if we break it down into gradient steps? So that's the reference I'm applying here. Let's see if it works. So the first gradient step is on day 1, remember you've got 30 days. On day 1, I want you to choose the person. Now, I've decided to come up with 2 versions, all right? And by the way, we're actually going to do this drill. This is for real, so pay attention because you're going to do this in a few minutes, and John's going to help me with it. Because LRH says every Scientologist, he's saying you should bring in 1 new person a month. So everybody who's listening to this webinar is obviously a Scientologist. I'm not interested whether you're a staff or not or whatever. That's not the point. You're a Scientologist. So let's apply that from LRH's viewpoint, which is what he's putting here. So here's a suggestion. To find a new person, well, recall people you met that day who aren't Scientologists and whom you can contact rather easily and, per your own observation, are able people. List them out, jot them down their name if you know it, or describe them. For example, the dry cleaning lady or the cashier at the supermarket. From that little list you made of people you met today who aren't Scientologists and somebody you can get back in contact with rather easily, and you consider them to be able, choose one of them from that list based on the fact that you want to help them have a better life and actually make the decision that you want to help this person have a better life. That's one version of how to do this drill. Here's another version. This is a bit more technological. Sit down in a comfortable chair. Don't allow any interruptions and take out your smartphone and open up your contacts app. Starting from whatever letter you want, start slowly scrolling down the list of names, looking for people who meet these criteria, and in this exact sequence of criteria. A, are they a Scientologist or were they ever a Scientologist? If so, skip them. LRH wants you to work on new people. If they're not a Scientologist and never were, then ask yourself this question. From my own observation, do I consider this person to be an able person? If not, skip them, as has gone over from the LRH reference we just had. Okay, next one. If they are able, then ask yourself, am I interested enough in this person to want him to have a better life? If not, skip them. Now, don't feel bad for skipping them. You either have interest at this time or you don't. I mean, that can change over time. Realize that if you don't have interest in that person enough to want him to have a better life, it just means you need more ARC with them. So make a mental note to increase your ARC with them at some time in the future, and then you can pick them up. Finally, if you are interested enough in them, then decide you want to help them have a better life. At which point in time you are now done choosing the person of the month. Time spent on this procedure, it's 10 to 15 minutes max, okay? Max. All right, now, Here's the next point I want to go over. Now that you've chosen a person that you want to help so that they could have a better life, I want to present to you an LRH reference, which I think personally is the most important one, because it's the one that's going to allow you to pull off this entire cycle from start to finish, no matter what comes up, no matter what happens. Factually, if you just use this reference alone, if this is the only datum you take with you from this webinar, you will find yourself being more successful than you've ever dreamed you could be when it comes to disseminating to people. This particular reference, by the way, is the one that allowed me to achieve so much when it came to disseminating to people, okay? Here it is. Hard sell comes from the policy letter called copywriting. LRH says, hard sell means insistence that people buy. It means caring about the person and not being reasonable about stops or barriers, but caring enough to get them through the stops or barriers to get the service that's going to rehabilitate them. Now, I'm sure you've heard of this reference before, and maybe you've experienced it in some way, shape, or form, but let me tell you something here. The key point in this reference is the word caring. Since you already decided that you want to help this person have a better life, it's impossible for you to achieve that if you do not care for this person. And that's why you have to apply this definition of hard sell and care for this person, but for real. Please remember, there are three universes. There's your universe, there's his universe, and there's also the physical universe. Well, let's get real. In your universe, you have stops and barriers to this person getting the service that's going to rehabilitate them. And whether you want to or not, you will probably dramatize it. In his universe, I can guarantee you he has stops and barriers to him going free, which he will also dramatize. And on top of all this, for sure, you know the physical universe is going to throw barriers to him and to you to get this person to go free. So what's the one tool that's going to keep you there pushing through all of these barriers on each of these universes? It's hard sell. As LRH says, it means caring about the person and not being reasonable about stops or barriers, but caring enough to get him through the stops or barriers to get the service that's going to rehabilitate him. So, you know, if you've ever successfully brought in a new person to Scientology, and I'm sure you all have, and if you were to look at what you did at that time, I can guarantee you, you had this definition in whether you even knew it or not. That's how important it is to your success. Conversely, I can pretty safely guarantee you that any person you failed to get into the org and thus into Scientology, and from which you then collected failed purposes regarding dissemination. I don't know how that got in there. Sorry about that. Anyways, it's because you dropped out this tool, whether you even knew it or not. Realize that you will be creating barriers to get him getting onto the services. He will be creating barriers for the same thing. And of course, the physical universe is constantly putting barriers. So you either decide to be hard sell and bust through them all for everybody's sake, or you're going to lose. And to that degree, we all lose. Now, the good news is, I don't think we have to teach anybody here how to care for somebody. I am 100% certain you all know how to do that and have done it many times in the past. The key point is that when you stop caring for the person, then we all lose. That's the point. Does that make sense? Okay, so what I'd like to do right now is actually do an actual drill, all right? And let me see what I do here. Okay. Did that work? Seems to be, oh, there we go. Excellent. There we go. Okay. Therefore, what I'd like to do at this point in time is an actual real life drill. The drill is choosing the person that you want to help have a better life and during which you are going to have 30 days to do it in. All right? To do this drill, I gave you two options. Go through the people you met today, choose one that is not a Scientologist, that you think is able and that you want to help live a better life. Or grab your smartphone and go through a letter, find somebody who's not a Scientologist, who you consider able, and you want to help lead a better life, okay? Now, most of you don't have your cameras on. If you could turn them on, that'd be cool. It's not necessary, but you are going to be talking and you are going to be acknowledging whether it's through the chat system or not, because we want everybody to do this drill because I want to see, John and I want to see, does this really work? So this is not a fake drill. This is for real, okay? And at the same time, I'm going to time you because I estimated 10 to 15 minutes. I hope to hell I'm wrong, okay? But anyways, I'm going to say start, and you have to do this signal or something like that that lets me know that you're done, or you turn on your mic and you say, I did it. I've got the person's name, all right? While I time you. And then John is going to take control. He's going to ask each and every one of you individually this question. How did you feel choosing this person that you are now going to help get into Scientology within the next 30 days? That's the question he's going to ask you. And I'd like everybody to answer that one by one. There you go. All right, so start the drill. He's up. Okay, Gary's done. Dr. Alf Garbutt's done. Okay, who else is done? Remember, either show your hands up or unmute yourself and say so, or send me a chat or something like that so we know you're done, because we're timing this. Good. Okay, thank you, Samantha Knipple. That's what it says there.
That's
okay.
my wife.
Okay, I figured this is you don't look like a Samantha to me, but that's okay. I'm not. Oh, I got a chat here. 1 second. The chat says, Monica says done. Very well done, Monica. Got a few more guys. Don't worry. You got plenty of time.
Carrie, can you speak?
Okay, Carrie says she's done. Thank you, Carrie. Who else we got done? Got a few more. Somebody that you know is not a Scientologist, you consider them able and you want to help them. You're interested enough in them to help them live a better life. And you've chosen them now. You actually chosen them. This is my target person for the next 30 days to work. All right, we got a few more. We still got a few more minutes. I know this is tough, guys. I know. I hope I'm not going out gradient here. Gene, I'm sure you can come up with somebody. Good. Well done, Lois. Lois is done. All right, we're waiting for Jan Franklin, Dolores Potter, Inez, Jean Dale, William, Luis Alpins, and caller number 2. All right, user's done. Don't have your name there, but you called user, so thank you. Hey, no laughing, no laughing. All right, we're still waiting for Jan, Jean Dale, William, Louise, and Dolores. Yeah, go through all those contacts. Find somebody who's not a Scientologist. Is it possible? Or recall some people you met today who you've seen every day. Like one guy mentioned the other day, yeah, the person at the UPS office, I see them once a week. What do you know?
Wow.
Are you almost done, William? All right, Dolores is done. Thank you, Dolores. Good. William, are you almost done? Luis? Jan? And Jean? 4 to go. 4 to go, folks. Oh, we got a chat down here coming in, and this is, yes, Dolores, we got it. Oh, thank you for the name. I appreciate that. That's good, Dolores. Still got 4 more to go. Are they still here? Jan, are you here actually? I'm just curious. Jan Franklin? Maybe they went quietly, disappeared. I don't know. Okay, well, tell you what. We do have a time limit to this whole activity, so I'm going to say stop for now. Congratulations to everybody who did it. Now, could you please, John, step in and ask them the question and let them speak? And I'd like to hear their feedback.
Oh, sure.
Okay, so how about let's go for Gary?
Gary, how do you feel about naming that Scientologist that you're going to make? You're going to get started on the bridge in a month.
Well, you know, it's really good because you start to get product oriented, and without product demand, without you can study and you can learn, you can do this, but the purpose of that study, just from study tech, is application and producing valuable products. So this takes it up into the valuable products, and that's totally what's needed. So it felt pretty good.
Great.
Thanks. Ted?
Chad, how did you feel about this?
Feel great.
Cool. Cool,
Yeah,
man.
I'm learning. I think the future of our success on this planet depends on exactly what we're discussing today.
Hey, right on, brother. Right on, Chad.
Okay, how about Lois?
Lois, how do you feel about it?
You have to unmute yourself, Lois.
Probably at the bottom of the screen is a microphone. There you go.
Can you, okay? You can hear me?
Yes, yes, go right ahead.
Okay, so I've been sending a lot of human rights. I have old book buyers, and I've been sending all kinds of things. So there is somebody that I keep sending the human rights in Way to Happiness and little pictures. But I do like what you said. I am interested in you and to have a better life. I love that. Now, I don't know what to say next, and I'm going to be listening. But I think that I like that. That's it. I'm waiting. I'll wait to see what the next from Gary. Maybe tell me.
All right. Thank you, Lois. All right.
Yeah, you're
Next
welcome.
All right.
All right, how about Dolores?
Dolores, how do you feel about it, Dolores?
So I feel that I can now really, I feel more interested in going to that person and finding his room, like digging for the room, because every one of them has one, so, or more. So I feel I can get somewhere now, because this ERC, there are more ERC on going and finding their room.
Great.
Yeah, more interest in doing that with that person.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well done.
Mhm.
Monica?
Monica, how do you feel?
It feels good. It feels like you finally put your attention on somebody, and as opposed to kind of just, I don't know, generalize people. It's like this specific versus generalization type of a deal.
Right on, man. Great, Monica.
Awesome. Dr. Alf?
Dr. Alf, my favorite touch assist man in the universe.
Hello, my friend. So yeah, really like this because it helps you like hone in exactly on a target in a good way, target, to get a product with someone. So it just made me like really look at one of my cousins that I have a high ARC with, but he lives like in Detroit. And it's like, oh, this is good. I can get him on an extension course, and get him started and then go from there. So this is good. Just help get A to B on getting a product.
Fantastic, man. And thanks for all those mangoes.
Yeah, you're welcome.
All right, Carrie McPhee.
Carrie McPhee. How do you
Hello.
feel?
I feel really good. I've been wanting to talk to this girl. She did my x-rays at the doctor's office and we just became really good friends. And she was telling me about her marriage and all this stuff going on. And I just felt really good that I finally got in touch with her instead of having it in the back of my mind that I was going to do it. And then I didn't get around to it. But necessity level rose and I did it. And it's real good. I'm excited to move forward with her.
Fantastic. That's awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Before naming the next person, I just received a text message from Louise Alpens, and she said that she is working on the drill. She just wanted me to let you know.
Fantastic. Great, Louise. Keep going.
All right, cool. And then our next one would be Mike Krellin.
Mike Krellin, how do you feel about it?
Oh my God, this is awesome. You know what is so cool about this is that like the others have said, it has you focus on an individual and a being, and you see immediately the rightness of the being, and that they deserve to get introduced to LRH Tech. And the other thing that's key on it is that because I've been attending lots of these, how do you make a Scientologist in the FSM school? And it really makes you look at, okay, knowledge, responsibility, control. What do I access now to apply to this individual to do this very caring but intelligently? So it just like the responsibility, when you name someone, the responsibility just shoots right up. And if you don't know how to do it, well, guess what? That's why we're meeting. It's the techniques of how.
Excellent, man. That's awesome.
Thanks.
All righty. Well, thank you so much for everybody sharing that. All right. Mike, I must admit, I didn't recognize you. It's been years. Okay. But I'm so happy to hear.
Good to see you again. All right,
yes.
Carlo.
So then this was the first step. This is day 1 of 30. Okay. I'm going to stop here because of time factor. And with John, we would like to meet again according to your guys' schedule. There is more steps, but they're gradient steps to help you achieve this. But in the meantime, now that you've named the person, please feel free and do what you want, okay? Because I am sure every single one of you years ago, when you first got into Scientology, started getting people in without knowing anything, because that's what I did. I wasn't trained on anything. I didn't know. I didn't have the word ruin. Are you kidding? I wouldn't talk to anybody using that word. That would make me feel horrible. And yet I was getting people into Scientology. I never heard of the word dissemination. Forget about that. Okay. But I did have the purpose, and I cared for people, and I wanted others to know that there's a better way to live life. That's all I did. And then I started learning from LRH's tools as it got better. My only point is, you don't have to wait. You now have a person. Be hard sell, care for them, recognize your own barriers in your universe, blow them out of the water because you created them to begin with. Recognize his barriers. He's creating those as well. Who cares? Obviously, the physical universe is going to try to stop you. To hell with all that. Keep on pushing because you care for the person. I'm going to stop here because we have a time limit, but I would love to hear your feedback, okay? I'm going to pop into the chat box here my personal email address. I would honestly like to hear from anybody, any feedback you'd like to send me or any questions you'd like to send me, because John and I know the importance of getting new people in, and this gradient approach may help you. And hopefully next week we can meet again and go over a few more baby steps to get you all winning. But in the meantime, don't hold yourself back. Deep down, you know what to do. John, over to you, and thank you for having me tonight.
Carlo, that was amazing. that literally was amazing, mind-blowing, and focus on production and the reference on hard sell, caring for the person, right on the money. All I can say is, Carla, you're invited back next week. Next week, Tuesday, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, and we're going to rock and roll next week again. I loved it. It was fantastic. Please write in and let Carlo know exactly what you felt. That's important. All right. I want to read something from LRH before we end off. We always end off on time now since Taylor is running the show. Taylor, she's fantastic. Start, change, stop. Here we go. This is on the game of dissemination by LRH. This is from LRH-ED 344R int, and this was written in 1982, and very interesting. LRH says, quote, game for Scientologists. I thought of a game that Scientologists could play, helping to clear the planet by getting people onto the bridge. Scientologists love to disseminate, and getting new people onto the bridge is a very rewarding game. There could be awards for A, successfully used approaches and methods of selling books to the raw public. B, newly developed and tested ways to sell books and cassettes to different publics. C, the number of books sold to public individuals. D, the number of new people started on the bridge. And the final product will be a cleared planet, exclamation point. How about it, LRH? I'd like to give LRH a hand for clearing the planet.
Yay.
Thank you guys very, very much for showing up tonight. And special thanks to Carlo DiLorenzo for being our guest. And he's invited back next week and the week after if he wants to come, because we're rocking and rolling, and the total participation game is off and running. Contact Sarah, contact Taylor if you've got somebody, and we'll help them to start on their first step on the bridge, whether that's to buy a book or start an extension course. Those are the two things that we're doing right now. So please contact Sarah and Taylor. And if you don't have the telephone number, call me and I'll get it for you. Okay, so thank you very, very much. See you next week.